21st Birthday DSL Connection. I went back to Hip Forest University and happily finished the full semester's courses, relatively confident in my decision to major in English and minor in philosophy. The classes were interesting most of the time and easy to pass with above average marks. In English classes, the possibilities are as follows. 1. The professor is approachably intelligent, makes the class entertaining regardless of the subject matter, and doesn't issue convoluted assignments. 2. The professor is intelligent, but an isolated fanatic of the subject matter who gets angry at the student's lack of shared excitement and thus issues taxing writing assignments. Or 3. You are in a creative writing class and a combination of the two things is happening, but ultimately it's a creative writing class, and those are always fun. It's funny how English, as an area of intelligence, gets broken up into people who are at their core creatively gifted with the language, and then people who become experts on those who became famous for their creativity. Some accept the call to become creators when their self-efficacies for the job are recognized, and the others resign themselves to being spectators, sometimes claiming to be more aware of the creator's ideological arcs than the creators themselves. Philosophy classes work in a similar way, but the possibilities are a bit more in one's favour. 1. The professor is a clever genius in his or her philosophical field, and the students get their minds blown on a regular basis, however challenging the workload may be. 2. The professor is intimidating in his or her knowledge and is constantly frustrated with the class's inadequacy, resulting in a difficult learning environment. Or 3. The professor is chill and provides stimulating conversation, and the class is mostly about getting the grade, especially for non-majors. You could call it elective philosophy. Whether the work is difficult in a given philosophy class is a toss-up, but the 200-level classes certainly made it challenging to excel. It probably didn't help that I was stimulated by green power for most classes, eager to have my mind's doors properly blown open. Perhaps that slightly inhibited my ability to retain the ideas and arguments as they became more complex. Anyway, that fall semester had me in plenty of entry-level classes with a solid mixture of awesome, intimidating, and eccentric professors, and I enjoyed the experience enough to stick with English and philosophy as my final areas of study. The TMD experience during Thanksgiving break was enough to keep my philosophical mind rolling well until the end of the semester, having practically splashed my face in a waterfall of the great unknown. The end of the semester was in early December, and my birthday fell on the 16th during vacation. For my 21st birthday, I wanted to have a more amped-up version of my 18th birthday party, which meant a group DSL connection with even more friends. The party started in the early evening at River's house, nestled deep in the woods near a water reservoir down the street. A sizable group of us convened, including Andreas, my roommate at Hip Forest, Thomas, Rashid, Slov, and River, of course. We all used one chip each to mount our DSL connections, chips I had acquired at Hip Forest, and decided to walk down to the reservoir to witness the sunset. We all started feeling giddy as we walked around the sandy areas surrounding the reservoir and consumed green power as we marvelled at the pastel orange-purple-blue sunset. Andreas experienced a moment of uncertainty and became visibly uncomfortable. Eventually, he said that his stomach felt weird and that he was growing anxious. I calmly told him that such a thing is entirely normal during the onset of the DSL connection, and that he just needed to breathe to understand that all was fine. Thomas aggressively chimed in, suggesting that Andreas shouldn't think so negatively about his feelings and just needed to change his mindset. I intervened, knowing Thomas's energy wasn't compatible with Andreas's gentle state of mind. With River's calming presence, we helped Andreas regain a positive mood, and the atmosphere became light-hearted and celebratory again. The chips seemed to be kind to us, setting the stage for a pleasurable journey into the great unknown for the occasion of my coming of age. As we made our way back to River's house in the growing darkness, I walked ahead of the group, beaming with happiness as my party vision unfolded successfully. Once back, we gathered in the basement and for some reason began examining a deck of River's old Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Every card triggered laughter, especially the Dark Elf. Although Andreas seemed preoccupied and hesitant to fully embrace the experience, even he couldn't resist chuckling at the Dark Elf and our humorous commentary on its grotesque features. Our laughter was interrupted by River's dad opening the basement door. "Are you guys going to play music or what?" his dad asked with faux aggression. He was right. We had set up a drum set, and there we were, connected to DSL, laughing at Yu-Gi-Oh cards. This was a special occasion, and we needed to make the most of it. "Oh yeah, and tell River to get his act together," River's dad jokingly added from the top of the stairs. It was great to connect to DSL and consume green power in such a welcoming environment. I hopped on the drum set and started playing with fervour. The DSL had opened my creative floodgates, unleashing a torrent of energy from the great unknown and providing an outlet for releasing pent-up tension. My sudden burst of enthusiasm made everyone in the room laugh. I vaguely recall River, Andreas, and Rashid grabbing guitars, perhaps even a bass, and jamming for a bit before deciding to include more people in the party. Our jam session, powered by the DSL gateway to the great unknown, was imperfectly perfect and ephemeral, as we hadn't thought to record it. Playing music with friends in the great unknown is an experience I believe should happen more often. To me, it's the ideal way to synchronize with one another's wavelengths. The experience took an odd turn when Thomas found himself in a texting conflict with his girlfriend. He had informed her that we all intended to take DSL, a terrible idea considering she was a 17-year-old cheerleader with no experience or understanding of power usage. Consequently, she became anxious and threatened to call the police if Thomas didn't stay on the line with her to ensure that he was okay. Eventually, Thomas called her and went upstairs to River's room to chat. Since I didn't know what they were discussing or where it might lead, and this was Thomas's first DSL connection, I felt I couldn't enjoy myself without knowing their conversation had been resolved. I went upstairs and found Thomas arguing with her on the phone. Somehow, I immediately knew what to say. "Tell her that everything is fine, that you're just trying to hang out with your friend Steverino right now, on his birthday, and that you'll talk to her tomorrow," I said with mild condescension. Just like that, Thomas calmly followed my advice and managed to calm his girlfriend down while reassuring her that he'd be able to talk tomorrow and simply didn't want to miss the party. After he hung up, I smiled at him. There we go, just like that. In hindsight, I may have been a bit smug here. "Thanks, man," Thomas replied with a sigh. "Is everything cool, dude? I've never connected to DSL before, and I just don't really know what's going on." He was battling the reality questioning for sure. I put my hand on his shoulder. "Dude, you're my boy. It's all good. We're just chillin'," I replied sagely. He gave a relieved grin, and we went back downstairs. At some point, more friends showed up, including my friend Ari, who gifted me an almond champagne, Jax, and Omar and Cassie, who had made the voyage from Hip City to join in. None of them connected to DSL, but it was fun to have a mix of perspectives. We all continued to drink and consume green power. As I sipped my champagne from the bottle, it tasted like a purple candy soda. I was in a permanent smile the whole night. Not a single bad vibe came close to affecting me, and I felt secure surrounded by my friends. Eventually, we all retreated to our quarters in the early hours of the morning and rested until we went out for breakfast. Turning 21 was a great feeling, and the great unknown treated me well for the occasion, providing just enough hilarity and perspective to be thoroughly amused without getting scared.